Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our next podcast this morning, here from our sunny and also chilly again, Pretoria in South Africa. Thanks for joining. I know there's some of you joining from all over the world. We really appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest in this. This is a series that we run now with from SSG Consulting side on KEY360, the project management and business management platform that we've developed over the years now, looking into specifically more into project management principles, requirements for systems such as KEY360 and what really it can do for you. So that said, let's jump right in this morning. This morning we are talking about Highflyers and risk takers. As you can see, I think actually this is a very, very hot topic. It's always been something that's very high in discussions amongst project management teams wherever I went. So I've always picked up on some amazing things being done and some great workarounds sometimes from some of these teams, especially because they don't always have the systems in place that they should have or that they would like to have. So again, something that we're going to be discussing today would be then, of course, the system KEY360 itself and what can it really provide you with. How can it empower you? What tools are inside KEY360 and available for you for use? And again, of course, you can use this in combination with other tools inside the system or even outside of the system, which means that, yes, the system does integrate well, very well with systems outside. If I can say outside the system itself, to also import data if you want to do that manually as well. So really a very diverse system or platform really that's been built over the years and developed over the years for project managers and for the entire project management team, looking at all the different knowledge areas, etc., etc. But before we really dig into KEY360 and all the aspects of risk management this morning, just a quick reminder, please like, please subscribe, please hit that notification button. And also, of course, please share this. If you are able to share this with friends, with colleagues, all the better. Please go and check out our channel and YouTube, of course, to also go and like and subscribe and also go see some more of these sessions that we have put up on the channel itself, discussing all the different aspects around project management. Currently, we are busy with a series called KEY360 Essentials. So, of course, risk management being part of, I believe, the essentials for project management teams. It falls perfectly in with our topics here. Then, of course, the rules. Like we used to say, every single week, there's no rules. Okay, so please, when we say no rules, we actually intend for you to be able to chat with us. Please make use of the chat box this morning. If you don't mind, please put up something. We've got some people at the back end here also looking out at the chat box. And then right at the very end, we're going to open up for some questions and answers after the session itself, after the discussions. So we'll head back into your questions and discuss them at that point. Okay, so please don't feel like we're not tending to them. The intent is to actually have a nice flow, and then after that, quickly jump back into questions if there are any questions at all. Like I said, also, please don't hesitate. Share this with friends, share this with colleagues, share this with the higher and the lower levels all over the show. This is really something that's very practical. This is something that's really going to be able to advance how you do things in and around your business or around your projects and how you manage them. Yes, so welcome again this morning. Like I said, from a sunny but chilly Pretoria, of course, in South Africa. I know there's some people also from all over the world joining us. But then also from our other offices around the world. Also, welcome to you guys joining in. I'm your host, Gerard, this morning, and then also we've got a moderator / technical support there at the background, Martinez. Thank you so very much again for setting us up this morning and making sure everything is running smoothly, and for recording everything. And also, Martinez will be catching your questions at the back end as well this morning, if there are any, so that we can discuss them as well. Okay, well, let's quickly see how we're going to do this. I was thinking about quickly talking about risks. It is nothing new, really. It's always been there for as long as we can remember. So yes, under that, I want to say topic, or under that heading, I'd like to discuss a few points talking about just the research, what it's been giving us up to now, and also some general findings. And then, of course, looking at our experiences in the field itself. What is it that I've experienced up to now? Maybe you can identify with some of those. Some of you listening in might actually immediately have some comments to add to our discussion this morning as well. So please feel free, add those comments even also in the chat box. We want to take them up and also discuss those at a later point as well. And then, of course, the KEY360 platform experience itself, jumping right into it, and just looking at all the different areas in risk management that are available. Where can you find risk management, and why have we developed KEY360 to give you the specific output regarding risk management? Then, of course, questions and answers, like we said, at the end of the day. I'm going to give a quick minute or two at the end of this discussion just to jump back into your questions and also your comments, if there are any, to quickly just mention that also to everyone else who are listening in this morning. Okay, so of course, we're looking at risks, and as I said, nothing new. Talking about risks in general, it's always been there, like I said, and that means that there's lots and lots and lots of it for us to research. Now, I want to thank already the University of Johannesburg here with some of their studies in project management already, with some of their outputs here at the bottom. You can see, I don't want to jump ahead, but you can read for yourself already some of the things that were popping out during their studies. Very, very interesting facts. So we'll get into that just now. But the questions also, how important is risk management to you and to your team? Of course, everyone jumps in quickly, and it's easy to say, yes, it's very important to me. But really, there's one way of seeing and knowing that it is important, or maybe not that important to your team, is how do you really catch those risks? And what do you do with those risks? Are they managed practically? Do you actually provide for risk management at all? And to what extent? So it's always good to be able to almost audit yourself, to really ask the questions, but not just to yourself, but also to your team mates as well. And also asking, what do they see as risks? What do they view as risks? To define those risks clearly and properly from the very beginning, or at least as soon as possible from start, is always a good thing, so that everyone's on the same page. We're going to talk about a little bit about the education behind all of this as well that you require for your team members. And then, of course, business and projects. Let's talk about that quickly. Risks, again, here exist for not just projects, but of course for businesses as well. So looking back into systems such as KEY360 itself, do you really have or make provision or have a system that provides for all different types of risks, not just risks that are related to specifically projects, even though the project management world is very, very dynamic, as we all know, but also is it really providing for business risks? Is it looking at financial risks as well as actual physical risks, or time delays, time-related risks? So we'll look at that a little bit deeper when we are jumping into KEY360 itself as well, with some examples on the system itself. So yes, the risks are very real today, and they're actually changing more and more. Looking at renewable energy, looking at the different electronic systems that are involved, the different types of constructions that we are involved in with some of our projects, and also developing software itself being some of the projects itself as well. So yes, the risks, of course, have taken on a whole new stance, taken up a whole new, I want to say, visibility factor. So how do we actually show this? How do we share this? Who do we share this with? When do we share these risks? All very good questions, I believe. And again, all very good reasons for you to really consider a proper platform that really provides for everything, that's been tried and tested, and of course also easy to use. So yes, there's many platforms out there, but do they really compare to platforms that are really well developed? And when I say well developed, I'm talking more than a decade at least now in development. Have they really considered all the factors, all the causes and effects, and all the controls and all the mitigations, everything? Is that all taken into consideration itself? And then, of course, how do we ensure we identify and address the risks proactively? So that most of that, of the answers that I get is that actually happens outside of a system, which is very true. I think I can agree with that, and I know where people come from when they do say that. The risks that we're talking about, especially if it's not financial risks, most of the time those risks are very real and practical, and really found on site, especially with, of course, construction-related projects, but also in your business. Risks could lead up to injury, could lead up to death, could lead up to losses, could lead up to damage. We've all been there. We've all, if you are now, of course, involved in project management for a while, or with a business for a while, you definitely have been there before, where at least this has been discussed, or this has come up in some point or some way. And the question I have actually is, was it discussed properly? Was it discussed thoroughly? And how did you feel at the end of that discussion? It's always interesting to hear from other colleagues, especially from other friends working further away or with other companies, to hear their inputs. And it's always interesting to see and to hear them talking about a little bit of, I almost want to say, neglect when it comes to risks being reported and also being discussed, how to control them, how to mitigate them, and also how to really track them, how to record them in the first place. So again, touching on all those points that you need, that actually should prompt you towards getting a proper platform for all of this. Then, of course, is there any positive relationship between project management, project risk management, and project success? Yes, I think it is actually quite obvious that yes, there is a relationship, but in some extent, or with some project or with some businesses, of course, the relationship is influenced by so many different factors, and they all change from one to the other. So again, of course, depends on the environment that you're in. It depends on the team that you're working with. It depends on so many other influences or factors, that really in itself actually can become very, very interesting very quickly. So yes, that is also something to consider. That is also something that you should know. And before you even take on risk management on itself, how qualified am I or my team members really? Are we prepared to manage risks? And when I say manage risks, it literally physically means that you need to be hands-on every single day. It's got to be something that is kept alive. It's not something that you should be revisiting or visiting just once a month or just once a week or just once whenever. It should be something that actually has your attention all of the time. So you should have at least someone dedicated, really looking into your risks, and doing that full time, especially, of course, with bigger and larger businesses as well. But please don't neglect risk management at all. Now, of course, we get to the bottom part of the slide here that says risks are no longer seen from the narrow perspective of physical harm, but the narrative has evolved to include unforeseen circumstances and effects on all stakeholders and planned outputs of the project. So, of course, it's getting wider and wider as we become more aware. Now, of course, that immediately brings us to awareness plans or awareness campaigns. So, really working closely with maybe your efficiency department, maybe with your health and safety department, your quality control guys. Everyone really becomes involved very, very quickly. So it spirals out. It tends to spiral out to the whole team, and it should. And the quicker you can get more of your team members involved, the better. As you can see here on the right-hand side, of course, in financial terms, it was reported that 13.8 billion South African rands were lost to failed projects in 2011. This is a very, very interesting find because, yes, it immediately slots in with that previous, I want to say, statement or question. Is there any positive relationship between, or is there any relationship between project risk management and project success? And I think, yes, again, as we said earlier, it's quite evident. I think it's quite easy to really sit down just for a minute or just a second or two and realize that, you know, the risks, if I can mitigate them that are current in the situations that I am, will I not be more efficient? Will I not maybe mitigate the loss of my funds as well? So yes, again, thank you so much to the guys from UC for UJ for doing this research and sharing that with us, also available on their site on the internet from their 2018 research already. So, of course, there's much more that you can find there on their site as well. So please pay them a visit. You'll be very surprised. And I think it's also very good towards awareness if you want to make sure that your team becomes more aware, if you want to make use of some practical examples. Again, of course, you can also approach us here at SSG Consulting for that. And we can, of course, also present awareness campaigns or plans or training on risk management and, of course, how to mitigate, etc. The whole management cycle itself, or the life cycle. Talking about life cycles, here we go. Is my current system providing me with what I need? A very, very, I want to say, well-known question, okay, by everyone in and around projects. Of course, it's always about the system. Is the system prompting me to do the right thing at the right time, to ask the right questions to the right people at the right time? And if it does, then of course I can be very proud. But to get to that point, most of the time is actually quite a challenge. Some of the systems are just not that user-friendly. Some of the systems do not provide for everything. It does not really cover all of the aspects of risk management itself. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to look at cause and effect. We're going to look at the controls. We're going to look at mitigation. We're going to look at impact assessments. We're going to look at the model and the color coordinations or color conditional formatting that we use inside of our systems, for instance. Does that actually provide for everything that you would like to see in risk management? And then, of course, the notifications. Is there anything done that is automated inside your system that goes out to the right people at the right time? And how about the QC inside of that as well, with the risk management department or the person who's doing your risk management for you? How sure are you that everything is really checked regularly and that everything is in place? So yes, looking at visibility here, just quickly going through the list. Again, we would like to suggest that you consider systems that include dashboards. That has been proven over and over throughout the last couple of years now on our projects and also in business, that visualizing risks is very, very effective. And it's actually one of the most effective ways of showing what's happening currently, where in the life cycle are we, and if you have a process flow or a workflow for specific risks to be mitigated and handled, and the impact it has on the different departments, is everyone in the know? So of course, yes, if you can visualize this via dashboards, especially electronic dashboards, then of course it means you can share that with a bigger group or with a specific focus area or a focus group that you would like to maybe intend that for. Then, of course, involvement of all the team members. Are all of your team members really, really involved? Ask yourself this question. I'm going to leave this out there and not really dig too deep into that. I think it's quite trivial, but I think also it is vital that we do ask this question, because what one person sees today, the next person actually misses. And by tomorrow, it's old news already. So is it really seen? Is it identified? Is it reported? And how well are we trained? Are we really trained properly so that we can identify risks on all the different levels? So again, a good suggestion here would be to, of course, have representatives from all of your departments actually taking part in risk management training, so that all the different facets of risk management can be handled, can be covered, and can be recorded at the end of the day in some form or some way inside of your system and be reported on. And of course, if you're reporting on it, it means that you have accountability as well. So I'm jumping around a bit on the list here, but of course, yes, the accountability again is critical. If there's no accountability, we've seen this over and over, then of course, there's hardly ever any traction. And really, you can't expect the project manager or the business owner or whoever is at that, basically the highest level, to manage all of this as well. So yes, you do need someone that's dedicated, at least a person that is dedicated, looking at all of your risks and really managing them properly, making sure that the information is distributed well to all the correct people. So yes, high-level management meetings to start off with, setting everything up, knowing who your different groups are, knowing what communication channels are like, and also making sure that the right information will go out at the right time to the right individuals or different parties, and all the stakeholders, being internal and external again as well. Keeping record, of course, yes, we all know this is usually where we start, is with legacy data, and also new data as we start off with a new project, with a new business. What is it really that we start inputting into our system or our platform from the very beginning, and then keeping up with the times? Of course, yes, if there's new risks, are they being reported? How are they reported? Is my system or my platform accessible to everyone, at all the venues, and even in between when they are traveling between the venues? Is it something like KEY360 that's actually cloud-based, accessible at any time, any day, anywhere in the world, and also being backed up with multiple redundancies? Is it something that you really can be proud of, something that you can feel secure with, something that will always be available to you, and really also includes all of the tools that you might need? Something like analytics. Of course, we've got business analysts and all the different analysts inside project management and business management these days, who are all very, very interested regularly in risk management and how big a part that plays in the overall management of our business or our project. But of course, this being just one aspect, just one part of what it is they're really interested in. But how available is the information currently in your current system or your current platform? How available is it for analytics, to be analyzed, to find new ways of doing things? Do you actually visit them, and is it easy to really dig down into what were the root causes of the risks itself? How were they successfully or unsuccessfully managed in the past? And how can you better that? Almost a little bit like lessons learned as well here, like what we handled last week. Then, of course, again, it's mentioned the accountability, the investigation, the mitigation processes. Are they all in place? Are they mapped? And if they're mapped, that's one part of it. But again, also all of your team members, are they all familiar with the processes involved for investigating different risks? And are they making themselves available? Do you actually get cooperation from your team members? The reason why I'm asking this question is I'm not always very sure whether everyone is invested enough in the project or in the business. And you might ask yourself that same question. This again is a very good test to see whether people are actually invested and to what level they are invested. And if they are not as invested as you would like them to be, what is it that you can do to get them invested? Of course, like we said earlier with some of our earlier sessions as well, the training, the education in this environment or in this specific knowledge area or focus area is also available to again, if you know more about that, it might spark a little bit more interest. And then, of course, interest that is sparked also sparks other things like proper discussions and actions that follow. So get people invested by making them part, involving them in your actual cycles of managing different risks throughout their life cycles, of course. Yes, then, of course, value adding and mismanaged. Of course, is it value adding? Yes, it is value adding. Is it mismanaged? Yes, a lot of times it's mismanaged. A lot of times risks are not getting the attention that it should be. Sometimes risks are not identified properly at all. In the first place. So sometimes it ends up as a lesson learned as well. So a good thing we actually discussed that just a week ago so that those who are familiar with that know exactly what I mean. Please go have a look at that discussion there as well on our channel. But yes, how does a risk and how we manage that, how does it flow over into the lessons learned register and what do I do with that at the end of the day? Is there any value really in this? And do your people really feel, again, back to investment, do your team members, do they really feel that it's worth even mentioning different risks or reporting them officially? Do they feel that there's action taken or not? And it might not be specifically you as the manager, but it could be just themselves not knowing the system, not knowing the processes involved, from reporting all the way through to mitigation, and also throughout that investigation process and finding everything about all the information about the different risks so that we can control it properly. And then, of course, proactiveness. Like we said earlier, not just inside the system, a lot of it outside the system. If I see something now, if I experience something now, if I know something might happen in the near future, am I willing to report it? If I do report it, is it getting all the attention it should? Because possible risks are just as important as actual current risks. And of course, yes, do we categorize them accordingly as well? Do we really provide within our systems and platforms for all these different categories? We're going to look at that very soon. Then, of course, effective and simplistic models. Looking at all the different colors, we're going to show you that just now on the next slide. But all the different colors, there's basic ones and there's different models that are available and well known out there. And let's jump quickly to the next slide so you can already see an example of such a model. As you can see here on the right, yes. Is it moderate? Is it low? Is it high? Is it extreme? What are your different categories that you actually rate your likelihood and your consequences and your actual rating for your risks? What does that look like? Do you have a proper model that includes all of this? And are they green, yellow, and red?
Do you have other colors in there? What specific models are you using? Are these official models? Are they just thought up models? And how effective are they? Ask this question to yourself, and also to your team, because if it's not effective, then of course you need to change as soon as possible, and also get that training that is required. And it might seem very trivial, might seem very easy, and that's actually because it should be. It should be easy to understand. Looking at a glance, you should know already where's my highs, where's my lows, where should be my focus areas. And of course, if it's catastrophic, if it's something, looking at a risk that can actually take down the entire business or the entire project team with the entire project itself, is it really categorized or rated correctly? So again, the quality checks on that and the meetings that's held around that to manage that properly, is that also being done? So yes, personal experiences, yes, I've seen risk management starting late on projects before. Even with massive companies out there, I've seen them not paying enough attention on risk management, not really focusing on mitigating it, not really focusing on controlling it from the beginning to the end. So of course, yes, very important to start off early, very important to get into the rhythm, to start cultivating the culture of risk management, and to put it out there, to really share the findings and the controls, the management thereof, to share that with the entire team, well, as far as possible, of course, and depending on what is allowed and what is not allowed. But again, logically thinking, to educate as many team members as possible on the different risks that are out there, because of course those risks can be elevated and escalated at any given time. It really depends again on the project or the business itself. Then unqualified staff, like I mentioned earlier, I've seen staff wanting to mention risks without knowing even that these are risks in the first place, or also reporting different risks and then thinking that once it's reported and once it's recorded, they can let go. They're no longer involved in that process. Now, in some cases, it could be the case, but in most cases, the more knowledge people have about risk management and how things are being done within your team, the more involved they would like to be, the more involved they become naturally, but because of the fact that they want to see how this thing progresses and how really are we managing it. And if you include that person who's reported that risk from the very beginning, it's not always the lower level managers or workers. Sometimes it's even the highest levels. So again, yes, if you involve them from the beginning and keep them updated throughout this life cycle of controlling the risk itself that has been reported, then of course they will keep their interest in risk management, and they will actually contribute more towards the answers that you might want at the end of the day. And they might actually be even willing to lead the investigations in some of the cases, if they're qualified or enough, of course. Poor communication. I'm talking about actual risks here in itself. Poor communication, again, of course, if the risks are not shared, if it's not managed properly within risk management itself, then of course you have a big problem. If I'm not aware of different risks involved around my site or my offices, then of course the first problem that we get is usually that certain risks are being reported over and over and over. Other risks are actually being neglected because of the fact that not enough people know about it. So there's not enough input during this investigation and management of it. So again, taking so much longer also to really figure out how to mitigate that risk. Okay, then of course, no or delayed risk mitigation. There you go. The impact there, of course, again, directly from communication and involvement, and also from time to time, again, of course, the finances being available or not. Then, of course, poor team morale, again, the team being affected. So this is, I want to say, an indirect a consequence of not properly mitigating or controlling or managing your risks. Surprisingly, people pick up on this very, very quickly and very, very soon during a project already. We've seen that the team feels a little bit less secure, a little bit less safe if there's no risk management really from the beginning. And even had the questions being asked from the guys on the floor. When are we really starting? Is there something in place? Can we start reporting? We have actually logged some risks or possible risks that we'd like to highlight at some point. When and where do we do that? Are there forums or meetings or something made available to us so that we can actually take it there? So yes, again, if that does not happen, people start falling out of the bus, if I can say. People start losing interest. People start thinking inwardly. They start thinking about themselves rather and their safety, and also being concerned about their own departments a lot more. And also, again, of course, ultimately in the overall success of your project and your business itself. Now, of course, if there's no records or no tracking, if it's not there in the first place, then of course that immediately tells us that there's a huge gap in the current organization. So, of course, it's critical that at least you provide for risk management to start with, and then, of course, provide the training, and then, of course, start appointing people or delegating people to start really thinking about the risks all around us and making more and more people aware. So, yes, and that, again, of course, also drives innovation. I've seen teams becoming very, very innovative and really becoming almost experts at getting together quickly, discussing that risks that's just come up now in the past 24 or 48 hours, or however high the risks might be rated and what according to the importance. Yes. I've seen teams reacting great with new innovative ideas all the time, and simply because of the fact that the communication is covered so well. So again, the risks being reported and then taken into a system that's available to everyone. Again, jumping back to the visibility that we spoke of earlier as well. If you have something like dashboards, if you have registers that can be displayed over bigger screens, or just sent out within reports, like push reports, like within KEY360 with its push reports, that is so effective, that can go out to the right people even before they have their meetings. So you can set that up to reach the people in time, and also the correct people in time, so that the right decisions can be made, or the communication can be kept alive in between the team members themselves. And then, of course, yes, poor customer satisfaction, also something indirect as a result of poor risk management. Of course, if we don't manage the risks properly, it's like what we call the Swiss cheese model. At some point, the little holes in the cheese will line up for something to go wrong, something that can move right through all the different layers of the cheese. So yes, all the different layers for mitigating and for controlling the risks. If something has a gap, or like we now say, a hole in the cheese slice, then of course, if that lines up with another hole, if there's another part of the mitigation or the gates that are not in place, or something that is missed, then of course it might move from one layer to the other, and eventually disaster can strike and something catastrophic can actually happen. Moving towards KEY360, I want to quickly jump out and jump into KEY360, into the platform, and let's look at some of the registers available to us inside KEY360 itself. Let's quickly have a look here. So here what we have is, of course, the dashboard when we log into a specific project here. This is just something generic for training purposes, being set up a long time ago already, but still alive because of the fact that this is a cloud-based system and everything running off, like I said, those redundant service or with the redundancy service there, of course, looking at always backing you up. But of course, yes, as you can see here with this dashboard here, it includes risk management. Of course, it's all built here on project management body of knowledge, the PM book principles for managing projects. So you'll see, of course, all the basic or the main knowledge areas or focus areas for a project already listed here, and risk management being one of them, again, being categorized under support here for the team. So looking at that, I simply need to click on this little button here, and it takes me to a next dashboard, almost actually navigating through a system already, showing you where to go. So of course, giving me all of the different aspects of risk management that I'd like to see and that I'd like to share with my team. So again, of course, risk baseline taking me right into the actual risk register where I can set up everything and then, of course, start reporting my risks and actually managing them live inside of the risk register. Then, of course, looking at the cause and effect. So there would be a register specifically looking at that. How do I really control them? The controls that I do have in place, do I report on them? And if I report on those controls, how effective are they? This is a good place here to actually go and look at that. If my controls are not effective, if they're rated a bit low, or if I see that the outcome from my current controls is not exactly what I wanted, we might need to relook or revisit those controls and maybe reevaluate and see if we want to change them up or combine them with some other factors as well. And then, of course, mitigation. What are the factors? How well are we mitigating those risks? Are we keeping them under control? Are we keeping them at a low score or mitigating them in total? And if we do so, do we have record of that? So this is a good place to go have a look at that. And then, of course, the impact assessments as well. We'll quickly look at those as well. So let's jump into the risk baseline or the actual risk register. So here you can see the actual risk register. And what's very, very fascinating about this here is, of course, the risk register here has been uploaded with or updated with a whole bunch of different types of risks. And let's look at all the headings here to just understand them a little bit better. You can see the risk profile name, the risk name itself, and of course, a weighting, the owner of the risk, the probability. Here we go. How do we rate the probability? Do you have a rating system for your risk management? And if you do, is it actually covered in your system? Do you have, like with us now in KEY360 here, do you actually provide a generic system, or do you have a generic system that can actually give you all the options so that you can jump between different models for different projects or different businesses? If you need to, then of course, a system like this can be updated within seconds to just change from one model type to another model type. So of course, yes, this being just one example of that, shows you all the different colors. And also, as you can see, from 1 all the way through to 5, all the different levels for the ratings here and the different types for probability. Looking at the primary cause name, telling you about the primary cause. Of course, here we can wrap the content and you'll see a little bit more information there. Then, of course, the primary effect. Simply, again, if I wrap the content here, you can read a little bit more. Short and sweet, looking at the primary effects that this risk might have. The effect severity, very, very interesting, very important. Again, for those analytics out there, you can jump into the very same register that everyone or the risk manager is actually using and already go and categorize by severity, looking at mitigations itself, what is already initially suggested and accepted by the board. and currently in working and being implemented. And then, of course, the mitigation sufficiency as well, looking at how really are we doing with mitigating the risks. It goes on and on and on. As you can see, the primary control, the control sufficiency, impact start, impact end, the schedule impacts, the schedule, the subcritical and the critical impacts, of course. And this again can be determined by yourself, by your own project team, and also by your own business team, different levels that can be impacted over time. And then, of course, a cost impact. Again, just some examples of possible cost impacts here in South African Rand, of course. And then current statuses. Where is this risk currently looking at its life cycle? So do we have specific life cycles that we expect risks to go through as we manage them and try to mitigate them? And if so, is that also all available inside of my platform? Can I actually update a current status to a next status to show that it's now moved from one to another status overall? Then, of course, is there someone responsible? Very, very important to know who's going to be my entry point, or who's going to be the hub, who's going to be the person that I talk to regarding all of these risks. And again, even that, within a system such as this, we are able to actually very quickly just pivot and have a look at who are the actual next responsible people for most of the risks. Looking here very, very quickly at this person here and looking at the most important risks that he is required to look at. Very, very simply put here, very easy, again, very user-friendly, and again, very easy to manage. That person for himself can also do this pivoting just as quick and easy as I did just now, to quickly see for himself where the priorities should be, and of course, what should be maybe delegated to other people, by just again updating the status and the next responsible person. The moment that happens, of course, it's like workflow again. The moment that happens, if I open up this specific line item, for instance, here's an example, and the gray form opens again with the status visualizer, I should be able to show who currently is looking after this risk. As you can see just now, for demonstration purposes, this was uploaded here quite a while ago. But again, the system is actually taking care of making me aware. So even this, the flow of the risk itself as it's going through its life cycle can easily be put onto a dashboard. And of course, the moment the status is updated, it moves from one to another part or phase of its life. And of course, immediately when that happens, my reports and my dashboards all update automatically, so that everyone is in the know. And of course, also it means that it shows at the same time who is currently responsible, on whose table it is lying currently. So I would know, same as with a project RACI, I would immediately know who to talk to regarding specific risks. I just want to quickly jump back into the layout that we had here. Of course, also we should be able to lock some of these so that we have full control, and also know that the right people can actually input information or additional data or changes on this register at the right time. Then, of course, just the selection on the end here. And of course, there's a field chooser on the left-hand side here just for interest, and you can see how little of all the current available headings to us in this register have actually been selected. So again, the impact period, general impacts, the desired risk rating values, etc., etc. There is just so much in here, this just being the risk register to start off with. So yes, of course, from this register being the main register, of course, we can go and measure so much. You can see here immediately looking at risk probabilities, we can immediately see the different ratings, And of course, again, financially, we can have a look and see where are we supposed to be focusing our attention on, and how high the risks really are in a financial sense as well. Then, of course, also looking at very low to very, very high risks. How many of them are there, and over what periods of time are they currently lying inside of the statuses or these categories? So again, of course, the risk rating register being available, and again, all these registers or all these statistics have been set up initially right at the beginning of the project. So of course, the more risks are being reported and added to the actual risk register inside the grid in the front, the more this will change up. So of course, being live, your reports going out automatically as the push report setup will always look different from one week to the other, or from one report to the other. And your dashboards will obviously also change basically on a daily basis, or maybe even sometimes on an hourly basis. Again, also risk impact register. There you go, looking at loop positions, looking at material availability, looking at all the different aspects and the impact that risks have on the different aspects of my project. So yes, design criteria and design conflict, different aspects of design, looking at hazards, looking at key resources, the list goes on, and really, again, you can change this up to really go and compare current risks and cost impacts and schedule impacts, all compared with each other, and according to, of course, a financial. There you can see already a value added to the amount of that impact as well. And of course, then the severity, as we said a little bit earlier, sometimes we want to visualize these things. So again, you'd like to see the different categories or levels of these risks. And even as these risks are currently being updated in the register itself, you can even see the category for this specific risk will probably soon be allocated, and then this will fall away and being included in one of these categories as we speak. So again, a live system, so you can monitor and know exactly what's happening at this point. Just jumping back quickly into mitigations here. You can also see the mitigation sufficiency, again, also by color. So even this can be reported on. Again, it's been updated on the system. And of course, as it's been updated, again, the reports, the dashboards, everything has been updated at the very same time. A primary mitigation can be indicated as such. So immediately we can see how many different mitigations are, of course, suggested for a specific risk, and how are they managed, and are they successful or not. Again, of course, red for the lower successes or the sufficiency. And of course, we need to pay a little bit more attention to these, or maybe discuss them, or maybe make some changes here. Again, a lot to be said about that part as well. Then looking back at the risk register, and I just quickly want to jump back into, sorry, I just want to quickly find this one. There you go. Looking at the report register, of course, there you go. So looking at the report register itself, I just quickly want to jump into the report quickly before we jump into questions. Just again, setting up a report inside KEY360 is so easy, so user-friendly. Again, the report itself actually consists of the details right on top. Very simple, very easy to, of course, fill out and complete. And then it takes you to another section on the form where you can actually decide whether you want to change this report into a push report or not. Being a push report, once you have it up, for weekdays or once a week or once a month or once a year or whatever you want to do, then of course you can also set it up to send the report out to a very specific group of people or individuals, or specific groups that you can allocate inside the system as well. Then of course there's always a status, putting this back up into setup mode so that you can actually change it up again. And then, of course, all the different layouts from all the registers, being grid layouts or specific statistics that you'd like to share. And of course, you decide on the sequence within this report that you'd like to maybe share with your specific target audience. So yes, looking at risks and mitigating them, reporting them, keeping track of them. Having a system such as KEY360, I think, is critical, and making sure that you are fully updated, fully aware of everything, knowing where you stand with all your different risks, knowing how to manage them actively. And there's some even more registers available. When you look at the knowledge area itself, you can actually go look at risk, cause and effect, the risk controls. There you go, the impact assessments, and the mitigation itself, of course. Overall, the risk register, pulling everything in, even the profile register being set up in advance, everything being available under the risk knowledge area for project management inside of this project here. And of course, also available to you should you want to make use of KEY360 again. And let's quickly jump back into our presentation. And here we go. It is time to jump to this part where I want to ask if there's any questions. I think, Martinez, can you maybe have a look for us? Is there anything in the chat box that anyone would like to know, or maybe comments that they made?
So, G, there's only one question from Martin. I really want to do a course in risk management. Do you have any suggestions?
Of course, yes. Martin, if you don't mind, I'm going to show you the next slide now where you can get hold of us on the internet. Please, if you can go to our site, let's jump there quickly. There you go. If you can go to ssgconsulting.co.za, please go and pose this question there where you can contact us, because we'd like to actually take this further. We'd like to take you through systems. We'd like to show you what is available out there, and also the possible courses that we can put you on. So yes, we can assist you with this, definitely, Martin. Thank you very much for that one. Anything else, Martinez? Nothing else?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so yes, definitely. The two current courses that we have available, also running on promotion currently, is the document control for EPC and EPCM projects course. And then, of course, the planning and scheduling for EPC and EPCM projects as well. Please contact us again also on ssgconsulting.co.za. You can also scan, of course, the QR code here at the top. If you would like to just quickly get to our site so that you can contact us, but please make contact. We'd love to assist with further training. Maybe if you'd like to implement just part of KEY360, like what we showed today, the risk management specifically, then you're most welcome to again also contact us, and we can assist you and go through risk management as a whole and how you would like to manage your risks. This is a very, very effective tool, and it's been taken from one project to the other, from mega projects to the very smallest projects, and still very, very effective. So yes, you're most welcome to do that. Thank you again, Martin, for that question there. I think if there's any other, please also don't hesitate, go to the chat box, add them. We'll also review a little bit later again so that we can get back to you. But this is really where I want to direct you to. Please contact us via ssgconsulting.co.za, and just scroll down to the contacts page, fill that out, pose your question and submit that, and we'll get back to you so that we can actually take you on a journey with us. That said, yes, for next week, we're going to look at save money, manage your budget. I think that one's going to be very, very interesting. It's just the entry level to cost management,
touching a little bit on procurement here and there, but not fully into it yet. But yes, a lot to be said about this one. So please join us next week again, same time, same place. I think this is going to be fascinating. It's going to be a great talk. It's always part of any business and any project. So we're looking forward to having some guests also at that time. So please, again, feel free to join. And again, of course, like, subscribe, comment, and share this with everyone around you. Thank you again for your time. I trust you'll have a great rest of your day and also a great weekend. And yeah, looking forward to some warmer weather for next week. Have a great one. Thank you. Goodbye.